Welcome to WTaF Previews. I am Becca Meyer.
You're not balding Ewok. That's it.
That's it. The end. And this time we're doing something a little bit different, which is our year in review. The top 10 movies we think you should see. If you only see 10 movies from 2017, this is our list of the movies you should see.
And
so we're going to get started.
Begin.
Roll the clips.
What the actual fuck? Previews!
Coming in at our number 10 spot is the Darren Aronofsky, Jennifer Lawrence film, Mother, which kind of polarized audiences, but Brad and I both loved it. We thought it was great.
It was like watching someone's dream.
Yeah, it was like a fever dream is really what it was. Coming in at number 9 is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, he spits at people whenever he can.
Uncle Ben.
That's not how it goes. Anyway, Spider-Man was one of the best Marvel movies.
Yeah, it's been one of the best Marvel movies. They were able to capture something that the Sony films haven't been able to do recently. Yeah. They basically paid Sony for the rights to make a Spider-Man movie, which is weird because they already own Spider-Man. But it was totally fun, crowd-pleasing, funny, entertaining, and it wasn't the same as some of the other superhero movies that you see. It was fun seeing Peter Parker and Spider-Man do their thing.
In a world where Brad's voice gets deeper.
But only for number 8.
Coming in at number 8, It. What is It?
You never really know how these movies are going to go, especially when it's a remake, and especially when they're really hitting the clown trope hard, like the scary clown. But It did really well at that. Like, when you see It, it's disturbing and upsetting, and it jumps out at you at times, and it's just a fun movie. It's fun. That movie does crawl into your brain a little bit, and it's upsetting, and it messes with your head. So psychological horror, stuff like that, I really do like. And this movie falls into that a little bit because it's messing with people's like fears.
And I love that it literally jumps out of the screen at you.
Yeah, at one point in time, that's probably the most upsetting scene is when the clown comes jumping off the
I don't usually get scared. That scared the hell out of me.
Okay, number 7 is the Jordan Peele written and directed film.
Get out!
It was surprisingly good.
Surprisingly, why?
Shockingly. It was shockingly good.
Because Jordan Peele can't make a really good movie?
We had never seen him do anything other than be hilariously funny. It was the fact that he could also come back and sort of almost, in a way, reinvent himself into a social thriller / horror movie filmmaker, which is really ultimately what it seems like he wanted to do anyway. He just sort of got sidetracked by the comedy thing, which he's naturally good at.
Sidetracked, that's like his main thing. But,
okay. Well, but yeah, he's a huge fan of movies, and you can tell in this movie because for someone who'd never made a movie before, he spoke the language, the visual language, and all that stuff really well. I thought Get Out was really good. It was one of the few things that white people were able to go see Get Out and not feel like they were being preached at by black people the whole time, but it still got the message across.
Yeah,
which I thought was really well done.
Yep.
Number 6 is 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which is a really weird title, a long title, but the movie
should be called 3 Angry People.
3 Angry People. Three Angry People. But everybody in this movie is so fed up that honestly, when you see the trailer, I sort of thought, well, maybe it's just going to be people being mad the whole time, and people being mad is funny. It's entertaining to watch people just kind of go off. But this movie is about so much more than that. It's about some social commentary, and it's about people just feeling like they're tired of the wrong people doing things to the wrong people being in charge, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. and it was highly entertaining. The acting is incredible. The script is incredible because all the characters. There's at least 3 times in that movie where the movie twists and goes one step further than you think it's going to go, and you're like, "Holy shit! They actually going to do that?"
What's great about the movie is that it feels like the characters took control of the script and said, "I don't care what the writer wants me to do. I'm going to do what I feel like doing right now."
It makes no sense that I'm about to do this because my well-being is going to be called into question, but I'm going to do it anyway because the hell with this. I'm fed up. I'm pissed. It was so fun to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was different and definitely surprising.
Definitely different. Yeah. Definitely different and surprising. Next up, at number 5, we have Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
Which is, what was it, 2 hours and 40 something minutes long?
Oh, yeah.
It was really long.
It's probably 20 minutes or 30 minutes too long maybe, but it's worth it.
It's visually beautiful.
Yes, just have patience.
It's visually beautiful, and it's weird because it's almost like an art film wrapped inside like a blockbuster science fiction because it's quiet and there's not a whole lot of talking.
Yeah, it's very open space. Like there's a lot of wide shots where you can appreciate the set design and the architecture and the mood
and the beauty. It's just, and honestly, some of the commentary, again, some of the commentary on where the world is heading with the use of technology. There's a whole thing in there with the holographic AI that can like sort of be your slave or.
What do you need real women for when you can pretend your AI is your girlfriend?
One of the things that the Blade Runner has always done, in my opinion, has made me think. One of the things that made me think about was how are we going to treat the computers or androids or robots when they become sort of their own personalities, when they're smart enough to form, maybe not feelings, but at least mimic feelings. Are we just going to continue treating them like things, or when are we going to? How are we going to? We can't just be assholes to the robots just because they don't have. There's a line there, and Blade Runner has always made me think about that because of the whole replicants.
Oh, replicants, yes.
The replicants. It always makes you think about it, and the more they look like human beings, the harder it's going to be to treat them like objects.
Yes.
Blade Runner's always made me think about that a lot.
At number 4, we have one of my personal favorites, Logan.
Yes.
I can't tell you how excited I was to see a movie done, and let's say a superhero / X-Men movie done this way, because this was the most true to how Logan or Wolverine was in the comics, and everyone who is a fan of Wolverine enjoyed this because it was the gritty, real, like this is how Wolverine is. He's not holding back. He's not giving people paper cuts. He's cutting heads off, and he's never in a good mood. He's never having fun doing what he is doing, but he does it because he knows he needs to and he should.
He was once immortal, but something's happening to where he's actually aged, and he just ages. Apparently, he just ages slower than everybody else.
Something is poisoning him or something.
Somebody who's been around for that long, seen that many things, and now you'd think with more time he would have his life in order, but he still has regrets. And it's a very human story about 3 really incredibly capable people.
Yeah, I love the realistic dealing with, if there were such a thing as these kind of powers, this is what the kind of stuff they'd have to deal with. If you have mind powers and you're getting old, losing your mind, how is that affecting everyone around you?
He basically has a form of superhero dementia. And like he's lost control of his. It was. It took the power and control, and people weren't as polished, or here I'll just gonna do this and it's all gonna work out. It was like stuff didn't work, and it was fun to watch, and it was actually kept you on the edge of your seat because you honestly did not know what was going to happen next because of it. Number 3 is a movie that just recently came out over the Christmas holiday, which is The Shape of Water, which is Guillermo del Toro's newest film.
Yes.
Guillermo del Toro, of course, directed
Hellboy.
Hellboy and
Um, the,
Pan's Labyrinth and the first Pacific Rim movie.
Pacific Rim,
He's done a
yes.
lot of films.
Which-
And he's known for his visual
yes.
beauty. Like
Well,
his,
but it's more like artistic direction. When
Yeah.
when you see Del Toro,
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro, Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro.
I put in
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro. It's another one of those. If you're a fan of this genre, if you're not a fan of the genre,
Yeah.
this is one of those kind of in between movies where you can people from both sides can enjoy it. I think
It is a beautiful fairy tale story.
it is. It's a fantasy, right?
Yeah, it's fantasy. Like, it's beautiful in terms of the way it looks, but it's also a beautiful story between two people. Two sentient beings.
Yeah. You could almost say between two races,
Yeah.
because there's kind of a it's what do you call it? What do you call a forbidden love? I guess.
Yeah, there's a forbidden love
between two different races. You could equate that to.
I
other
think
things?
that The Shape of Water is one of the most uniquely original movies in a long time.
Yes.
It may not be for everybody because of its kind of weirdness. It's got some weirdness.
You might be offended.
But
yeah.
But it sets up. It kind of. I was telling you when we saw it. It's kind of like a really good X-Files episode.
Yes.
Incredibly shot. The acting was incredible. The main character doesn't speak a word the whole time. She's mute, so it all comes out in her eyes and her expression and her physicality. And the other main character doesn't really talk either. So it's incredible to watch them interact physically, which was great. You don't see that in a big, but you don't see that in the multiplex movies almost ever.
Yeah.
Coming up at number 2 is a movie I thought was my favorite movie of the year up until very recently, is The Big Sick, which still has my favorite screenplay in the bunch of them right now. It's so well written. The characters are so perfectly diametrically opposed to each other, but not in a really confrontational way, in a dramatic and funny, dramatic but also funny way.
That sounds familiar.
The way you are with everyone, Brad. Yes. That sounds
you
funny.
know you love me.
Kumail Nanjiani, I think is how you say his name.
Kumail
is his first lead role. He wrote the script with his wife about their falling in love story.
Yes. So it's based on a true story. I'm sure they took some artistic.
They tweaked a little bit, but yeah. It is funny. It is touching. It is thought provoking. Yes. The acting in this movie is so good.
Oh yeah, it's so natural. You really feel like you're watching real people feel real things and say real things.
Yes, it does not feel scripted. Is what
right.
So you're right about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thoroughly loved it. I watched it. I've watched it a few times now, and it just gets better and more comforting every time I watch it, as opposed to this is the part where this happens. But I enjoy watching it the way you enjoy watching something 20 years later, sort of a thing. I loved it, and it's not like anything else, any other romantic comedies that come out recently.
Very true.
Yeah,
it is definitely a very good and unique romantic comedy, I guess, even though it could be depressing at times.
And honestly, anything with Holly Hunter doing what Holly Hunter does.
Oh my God! Don't
she
bring
was
her
so
up.
good. She was so good.
Number 1 movie this is. Could it be? I wonder what. What it could be? I wonder.
I know that for some reason The Last Jedi has.
You want to talk about polarizing?
A lot of polarizing thing. There's a petition going around, signed by people that hate.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi, asking for it to be removed from the canon because they don't like how things are. We won't give any spoilers in case you haven't seen it yet. However, this is, in my opinion, quite possibly the best Star Wars movie ever made,
At least since Empire Strikes Back.
At least in the number 2 spot. This
Yes.
movie came out and got and I'm not just saying that because it's fresh on my mind and all that stuff. I've done some really serious thinking about this because
We've both seen it at least twice.
yeah, and Star Wars is like it's a big part of my childhood, so I'm not taking it lightly
Yes.
when I say it is so well shot. It's a beautiful looking movie. The characters, there's some stuff in there that I'm just sort of like, maybe not.
Yeah.
But
There are definitely things we disagree with, and we'll talk about that in another episode.
this movie is so fun. The characters are
The characters
so-
are flawed.
Yeah, they're flawed.
I think that's why we liked it so much.
And honestly, the Force is strong with this movie. One of my favorite things about Star Wars movies is the Force and the
Right.
discussions about the Force and self mastery
Yes.
and over things. And there's a scene in this movie which we won't talk about too much, but there's a scene in this movie that touches on all of that stuff that we really haven't seen in a movie since Empire
Yes.
Strikes Back, and that's why it's so high up on my list, is because that stuff has been missing just a little bit from it, definitely from the prequels, but it was missing just a little bit from The Force Awakens as well, because there were no Jedis in the movie yet, because they kept stalling the introduction of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
In my opinion, and I'm just going to say this real quick, in my opinion, people wanted The Last Jedi to be something, and then when it wasn't that, they decided it sucked and I hate it.
Right.
Which is a ridiculous way to watch a movie. Why do you want to be able to predict what the movie is going to be? Like, I like the fact that at all of those spots that it did something that you weren't expecting at
Yes.
all, and it kept you going, oh, okay, well,
Right.
what's this? But then there's this group of people that really hated it. They hated it because it wasn't what they wanted it to be. I thought it was great.
I agree.
Well, that's our top 10 list for the movies you must see from 2017. If you saw these movies and loved them or hate them or disagree, or if we left something out that you really
Yes. Please
think should be
disagree.
there, if we left something out that you
Yeah.
think should be on that list,
Tell us, please.
drop it in a comment. Let
If
us
you
know.
hate me,
Well, I hate you. Can I tell you that right now?
put it in the
Can I-
comments below.
I'll put it in the
we'll
comments.
discuss it.
Can I go on record right now?
The end.
Hello, welcome to. You look so miserable. The more miserable you are, the happier I get.
That's our show.
Welcome to WTF Previews. I'm Becca Meyer.
And I'm bobbing Ewok.
Yay!
I got a cramp in my leg. Ow! I'm having too much fun. Okay. I'll slap her up with a biscuit.
This part is being trimmed. I'm editing this out of the
Hey,
show.
slap her up with a biscuit.